you considering closing one of your credit cards or have one of the banks close one of your credit cards? Where in this video, we're going to talk about how does closing one of your credit cards actually impact your length of credit. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, I'm Tasha from the Major Change Group, where we believe small changes can create big results. And if this is your first time on the channel, welcome. We talk about credit, budgeting, and student loans. Well, in one of my recent videos, I got a question: what is my thought process of closing credit cards and how do I think it impacts your credit? So today, that's what we're going to talk about. So if you've been on my channel, you guys know that Bank of America had actually closed 2 of my credit cards, not 1, but 2 of my credit cards. Y'all, it made me so mad, but you'll have to check out my video about that. And in November of last year, 2020, I actually closed my Marriott Bonvoy credit card. Now, before we get into my thought process on closing credit cards, let's understand our credit score a little bit first. So our credit score is made up of 5 components. So we have our payment history, our credit utilization, our length of credit, our credit mix, and our new credit. And our length of credit is equal to 15% of our credit score, which is about 127 points or so, give or take. You know, some might say 15% is not bad, but 127 points of your credit score can impact it. Now, I definitely think that your payment history and your credit utilization is very important, but your length of credit can play a part as well. And I actually was looking up an article, so you'll have to go down in the description and check out the article as well, and it can give you a little bit more feedback. So in the article, it does state that, you know, your length of credit is very important, but some really interesting tips that it had on there was that your credit history, even if you close a credit card, it can stay on your credit for up to 10 years. And that's something that I didn't even know. So that is really good. And while I'm thinking about it, until April of 2022, you can pull your credit report for all of the 3 credit bureaus every week if you want to until 2022. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting to pull it every week, but maybe once a month or once a quarter is good, because your creditors actually report your standing once a month. So that's why I say once a month is pretty good, but you decide on what you want to do. So now going into my thought process on how I consider closing a credit card. On my Marriott Bonvoy, y'all, the only reason why I had closed this card, now it was a lot kind of going on with this card, because I had opened this card because I love Marriott hotels, and I think I opened this one in 2019. I love to travel, and usually I'll stay in a Marriott hotel, and at the time they had 70,000 points if you spent $3,000, but y'all, I ended up not even getting the 70,000 points because I didn't pay, well, because I was $90 short on my minimum spend, and I didn't even know it. I was just like, why did I never get it? But then, you know, with 2020, everything was going on, so I really wasn't using the credit card as much to really earn a lot of points on it. And plus I had several other credit cards, and then with the annual fee on that card, it was $90 annual fee, and I'm just like, ooh, that's a little bit steep. And then right around the time where it was getting close to a year, now for that credit card I would have got a 1-night stay, but that's really only equivalent to about 30,000 points. So I didn't think paying $90 just to get a 1-night stay really was equivalent, and I had only had the card not even 1 year. But my thought process in closing that card was, I knew that I had only had the card for 1 year compared to some of my other credit cards that I had for over 15 years. So I was thinking, well, I still have my older credit cards, so by closing this one, while I might lose a couple points, I really was okay with sacrificing a few points just to go ahead and close it out, compared to paying $90 a year on, you know, the annual fee. Now, I can tell you, when I think about my Bank of America credit cards, and with them closing my Bank of America credit cards, I thought about it totally different. And the reason why was because I had had those credit cards for over 15 years. And so when they actually closed the credit cards, I really did get a little bit nervous because I'm just like, whoa, how is this going to impact my length of credit, and how's it going to impact my credit score, because I had had the cards for so long. But I still had one other credit card, my Citibank card, because I had the Citibank card and the 2 Bank of America credit cards around the same time. And so that is my actual longest running credit card, my Citibank credit card. So when they closed the 2 Bank of America credit cards, while I did see like a small dip in my credit score, it wasn't really that bad. So it really didn't impact me that much. So I would say if you're considering closing a credit card, take a look at your credit report or even into your portal on your credit card and see, well, how long have I had the credit card? And if you haven't had it that long, then I don't think that it will impact you that much. If you're going to be opening some other credit cards around that time and you don't want, or maybe getting a house or a car or something like that, and you don't want to take a dip in your credit score, then don't close it at that time. But just look at the different aspects of that card to see if it will be worth it for you to close it. And then one other thing that I can say, because I'm a Dave Ramsey inspired, and so when I first started following Dave Ramsey, and he says for you to close all your credit cards, while I would cut the credit cards, I never would close the credit cards. When I was in college, y'all, I would have Zales credit cards, Limited credit card, JCPenney credit card, Sears credit card. I had so many store credit cards, but I never closed the credit cards. But you know how they will end up closing them. They'll end up closing them themselves, but usually they'll send me a letter to let me know they're going to close it. And that was because of extreme inactivity on the account compared to with Bank of America. It maybe had only been 6 months that I hadn't used the credit card, but like with the other credit cards, I went like years not using those credit cards, and then they would send me a letter. But Bank of America, they just, closed it right from up under me. And so that's why I was kind of mad about that. And then they tell me when I called them, that I could open it back up if I wanted to. But it's just like, you're taking the credit history away from me. So why would I want to do that? So I just ended up closing my Bank of America. And now I'm with Navy Federal and another credit union. And that's it. So that is definitely my thought process on it. And another note, in the article, it also states some ways that you can gain credit. Let's say if you know somebody that has good credit and they have a credit card that they've had for 15 years and you guys have good rapport, maybe you can ask them to be an authorized user on the credit card. They don't necessarily have to give you the card, but by putting you on it and they're making good payment history, they've had the credit card a long time and good utilization, then you're going to be able to piggyback off of that, and that's going to help your credit score to increase that way. Also, consider getting a secured credit card. Maybe you can do 500, 1,000, but just pick a number to where you are okay with not spending that money, because it's going to be on your credit card, and then you actually have to pay the card back every month. So if you can't, go without having that $1,000, then just put 200 or 500 on the secured credit card and do it that way. And then typically after 6 months to a year, it depends on which credit card it is, then they're going to change it into a unsecured credit card, and then you will get the money back. But one other way that it said that you could gain some length of credit was to get somebody to co-sign. Now, the only thing about this is that, when you co-sign, that's a tricky thing, because if you co-sign and let's say you're unable to pay it and you default on it, that's going to impact the person that has good credit, and that is not good. So I can definitely tell you about that. I think that it's okay to maybe close a credit card, but just look at all the different aspects. If you've only had it maybe a year or two, but you have like 7 years of credit, length of credit history, then I don't know that it would impact you that much. But think about your payment history, that's 35% of your credit, and your credit utilization, that's 30% of your credit. So those two things can really impact you more so than the length of credit. But let me know what you think in the comments. I hope that you have found this video helpful. Please like, subscribe, share with a friend, and turn your notification bell on so when new content drops, you will be the first to know. Thank you so much for watching.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.